Hey everyone, today I am actually doing another top 10 and I have actually, thank you everyone for giving me some suggestions on what type of top 10s you would like to see. Now, the person that gave me, he gave me like 6 or 7 of top 10s he'd like to see. This isn't one of them, but I still think it's a very good one because of how important this topic is to me. Well, I'll explain. I'm doing top 10 games that came out in 2015. And 2015 is a good year because that's when I started doing my channel, and that's kind of what got the ball rolling. And a lot of good games came out in 2015. Now, forewarning, there were some games that I actually own but aren't going to be on this list because I haven't played them. Mission Red Planet, the remake came out in 2015. Dead Men Tell No Tales came out in 2015. I believe Through the Ages, like a new civilization, came out. And those are probably all fantastic games and probably would make my list, but I haven't played them. Now, there are some that are on this list and basically bumped up and shifted and did a whole bunch of stuff that I basically played in the last couple days. But, yeah, best games that I think came out in 2015. Now, I have one honorable mention that was on this list. It was sitting at number 10 when I made it. And then I played a few more games, and it just didn't make it. And that is Apocalypse Chaos. Now, I believe this game kind of flew like under the radar. I haven't heard anyone actually talk about it, and I ended up buying this after watching Rado do a run through of it, and I just think it is a delightful game. It's, it's not innovative and it's not like one of the best games I've ever played, but me and my girlfriend thoroughly enjoyed it. It scales well with 2 to 4. I always like games that kind of have a 3D aspect to them, so it has a little tower that you have to manage, and you're basically trying to survive, and you're running, all the enemies are running around the base, shooting, and you do have to plan. You're like, okay, if I'm here, I can't shoot, you can't shoot adjacent spaces, so you have to skip a spot, and you're trying to think of, okay, where are all these enemies going to be, and how best can I plan and survive this? And we just enjoyed it. You roll, each of the characters has their own dice that you roll, and the cool thing is it's a co-op game, so you can use some of your dice, up to 2 dice, to help out your partners. And we played it as a 4-player game with just the 2 of us, so we're both controlling 2 people, and we enjoyed it. Didn't quite make it after, it was sitting at number 10, bumped to 11 after some of the other games I ended up putting on here, but that's Apocalypse Chaos. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's not a top 10. Well, true. Honorable mention. It counts, but it doesn't. So now on to number 10. My number 10 is Epic Spell Wars. Now, you may be thinking, well, that game didn't come out in 2015. Well, the expansion did, or standalone game, Rumble at Castle Tentacle. This one did come out in 2015. So technically it's kind of an expansion because you can combine these two, but it's also a standalone game because it came in basically the same type of box, which I don't have anymore, and was playable by itself. Now, most of you are probably thinking, why this game? This game is just so funny, and it's quick, it's not really lighthearted, it can be kind of mean, but in all honesty, I just think that the art is fantastic. That is my favorite thing about this game, and just how funny and weird the names are. Yeah, you cast the spells and in the voice, and that's also funny for a little bit. Casting the spells as your character, how you think he would sound. I did a run through for this one, and that was such a fun run through. That I really like it. I mean, not as much as like the rest of them. Clearly, it's at number 10. But out of all the games that I've played that came out in 2015, I think that Rumble at Castle Tentacle was worthy of being on this list. So that is number 10. All right, now number 9. Yeah, okay. Number 9 is Rum and Bones. I plan on uploading my run through of this one pretty soon, but Rum and Bones is, I don't want to say like the quintessential pirate game, mainly because there are probably way more. I mean, Merchants and Marauders, people would probably say, is a better pirate game than this one. But this is a very good 2-player game, and it's actually only meant for 2 players. Which, I guess you could play it with. It's meant for 2 players. Like, there's 2 ships, and it's for 2 players. And it's from Cool Mini or Not, which I love their games. Their games are so good. Their miniatures are so fantastic and detailed. And who else did this? 5 Houses? Yeah, I've never heard of them. But I just think this is a really cool premise of you're both, it's just, you're fighting each other, and it's so thematic when it comes down to it, and whenever you're playing cards to screw each other over, the Kraken can show up, and whenever he shows up, it's like, okay, we have to put our differences aside to try and kill him, but you don't want to damage him too much, because then another person could just swing in and do 1 damage and kill him and get the points. I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Played it with my friend Jeremiah, who loves pirates, and he loved it. Each faction has like 5 people, like their captain, quartermaster, swashbuckler, gunner, and who am I missing? There's a 5th one, and they all are unique and different, and they have expansions out of different factions. I don't have any of those, but I do plan on getting them. And I'm sure those feel radically different. You have to strategize based on how you feel your faction is, centered around. That I just think this is a very fun, thematic 2-player pirate game, and that would be Rum and Bones. I'm just gonna throw these over off to the side. Now, my number 8, and these all kept getting bumped back. My number 8 is Posthuman. Now, I have not played this game a lot, but I have played it enough to know that it merits in my top 10. And because, and I think the reason why is because of the fact that you can, one, try to survive as, a regular guy building yourself up, and I'll get to that in a sec. But you build yourself up, or if you're playing with multiple people, it goes up to 4. If you're playing with 4, you can decide to become a mutant and hunt everyone down. And if another person wants to become a mutant too, now you're working together to try and make the survivors mutants as well. And it's just so, chase-based and so stressful that you're like, oh my god, now, especially survivors with mutants in there, you're like, now I have to try and survive the mutants as well as everything else I have to fight, as well as the weather that can affect you. And man, this game is hard. I mean, not only are you racing against everyone else, because this is not a co-op game, you're trying to survive this apocalypse, as well as trying not to become a mutant if you don't want to, but sometimes you're forced to. And the really cool thing that I liked about this was it's kind of an RPG when you're making your character. You can take the standard, the runner is fast in speed and nothing else, but you can make your character based on, okay, well, I want them to be smart, I want them to be, strong, but okay, I guess I'll make them slow, and you're doing this like race tile building based around the character you made. I've played this as a 2-player game, and rules change a little bit based around that, but it was really cool because I based my character off of how I feel I would do in this. I think I'm fast, and I think I'm not incredibly weak. You guys will probably disagree about the way I look, but I was like, well, I'm going to be fast. Oh, I'm actually smart, so I'll be smart as well. Not to be narcissistic or anything. And it was a really cool game. It's so thematic too, based on the cards you draw, because you either fight enemies or you get these events where you're based on choices. It's like, well, you run into these this group of people with a little kid. Do you give your food to the kid so he doesn't die, or do you let him die? It's like, well, crap, I need my food, but if I let him die, I lose morale. Well, crap. And it's these decisions you make that are so favored by me. I love games where you have these type of choices. Dead of Winter does the same thing. And it's like, well, what do you do? Oh, well, how much food do I have? Or you have ammo for your guns. It's like, well, give your ammo to this guy and he'll help you later. But it's like, well, crap, I need my, and just that's the thematic part of like a post-apocalyptic game, and I think it's great. So that was my number 8. Yeah, 10, 9. My number 8, Posthuman. Now, my number 7, and this one was up higher, but based off the games that I played, it kept getting bumped back, which is actually surprising considering I like it. Now, this is my top 10 of like all games that came out in 2015, and I played at least, before I made this list, I played at least of the 15 that I saw, but chose not to put on here. So, my number 7 is Time Stories. Now, like I said, this was higher, and the reason why, and I'll explain why it got pushed back. Time Stories is an excellent, unique, innovative game, and I like it quite a bit. But, one, I fucking hate the dice. The dice are garbage. This would probably have stayed higher had the dice not been so bad. Whatever, it's dice, it's probability, I'm just bitter. No, they're wooden, they're light, they're weird. Anyway, that's not the point. The reason why that this is at number 7 and not higher on my list is, one, because, yes, I've played all the expansions. I played Marcy's Case, Prophecy of Dragons, had done a run-through for both of those, and I did Asylum. We did so bad on Asylum, we didn't record it. Or we did, I just didn't post it. And they were all really, really cool. It's just that whenever you play through them, you can't ever go back. So basically, now that I'm done with those 3, there's one more hopefully coming out this year. The Egyptian one, which we're really excited for, is that now this is basically sitting on my shelf. And if they quit doing the expansions, if they quit doing expansions for it, then I'll gladly give this away to someone so they can enjoy it. But it's just that fact. Now, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I've gotten, many hours of gameplay just from this, and they've all been thoroughly enjoyed. It's just that that's pretty much it. I can play everything else on this list multiple times and have a radically different game and just, well, we'll get to that. But no, this is very innovative. It is awesome. The Asylum was great with the puzzles. It throws in puzzles. It throws in detective work. It throws in fighting. Like, there's nothing wrong with these. Now, the Prophecy of Dragons wasn't my favorite. I was hoping for a different direction. But watch my run-through for that. The Marcy Case is fantastic. It's actually my favorite one that we've played out of the 3. That it was just so cool as you're fighting these zombies, you're also trying to do something else. And that's really what it's centered around. And there's also, we believe that there's like this conspiracy in like the back game, like kind of how you're working for this agency, but you're really going back in time. It's like, well, why are we going back in time? So we think that they're going somewhere with that, which, watch Prophecy of Dragons, because you'll see some shit. But yeah, no, Time Stories is such a good game. I just wish that there was some more replayability. So that would be, yeah, my number 7, Time Stories. Okay, now this is actually a game I played today. Learned it yesterday, played it today. I knew all about it, and I love it. And that would be XCOM, the board game. I have played the video game. I have played the first one, not the second one. And boy, did the video game kick my ass. And boy, did the board game kick my ass, even on easy. It's still hard. I don't know why. We won. But man, this game is just so cool. Like, I love real-time games. Escape. Now everything's, it's going to be drawing a blank. Escape is a real-time game. Space Alert is a real-time game. I know I have more, but, I mean, that's beside the point. And this one is just so cool because the way I explain this to people, I explain this as pandemic, but instead of diseases, it's aliens. And that may be a stretch, but I truly think that this is just as hard as pandemic. Maybe not as random. No, it is random. And, you know, the 4 roles that this game comes with, the central officer who controls the app, talk about that in a sec, the commander who controls finances, the officer who controls the soldiers, and then the scientist. They're all so unique, so different, and so needed. There's not a single role that you're like, you know, we can do without you. And I played as the commander, the one that's controlling finances. I'm a business major in college, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, oh my God, we don't have the money, we don't have the funds to be able to do everything we need. We're going to have to take some hits somewhere. Like, where can we cut budget so we can reallocate this money to somewhere we need? Oh, we need to recruit soldiers. Like, we have to. We have 2 left. Everyone else died. So I'm sorry, we can't research any science. Or no, we can't do any. And that's just how it is. But you have everyone trying to do all of this, controlling their unit, while also do everything on the board. It's like, no, but we need science. Or no, we need these satellites to destroy these UFOs. It's like, I don't know. What are we going to do? And the game scales based on how many people are playing. As with all real-time games, you just basically control multiple roles. And the game has a great tutorial system that goes, it's through the app. Now, real quick, I'm not going to talk on this a whole lot, but most people think that games that include technology, like phones or, you know, phones or apps in general, think that it ruins board gaming. And pretty much to that, I'm just going to say, get over it. I think that it is really cool. Now, people like to draw the line. They're like, no, there's video games and there's board games. It's like, okay, well, why? First of all, I think that Alchemist and XCOM are the only 2 that I've played that uses an app, and they are fantastic. Like, I just think it's really cool, because it's not like you're playing the video game and then the board games. It's, no, you need this little app that's going to help you play the board game. And this one, the app is just so well done. It's so put together. The tutorial is fantastic by stepping you through what each is. It's a lot of reading, by the way, it's a lot of reading. But I'd much rather honestly go through an app and still play the game. Like, okay, well, this is what the central officer does. Do that now. And you do that instead of read a 30-page rule book and then go back and go play. I just think that it's so cool. And there's music and it feels atmospheric. My girlfriend was controlling the app. And she felt like official. She was like, okay, Commander, you are going to get, money. Now spend that money. Stuff like that. And I just think this is so cool. And not only are you trying to focus on your roles and everything, it's like, well, now all these continents are panicked. And now we're losing money because of that. Can't praise this game highly enough. I think it is really cool. And you might be wondering why it's only at a 6. Well, that's because I haven't played it a lot. I've played this game twice, but I still think it's really cool, and it's number 6 on my top 10. So, XCOM, the board game. Alright, top 5. This is another game that I recently played, and it was just so cool, and we had a great time, very lighthearted but stressful, and that would be Mysterium. Now, technically, from what I understand, my box is smashed. Oh well. Now, technically, I believe this is a remake of another game that I'm pretty sure wasn't even in English. But it's a remake, and this is one that my girlfriend really wanted to play. Like, I was like, honey, go upstairs and pick a game that we haven't played from, my shelf of games I haven't played over there. And this is the one she looked at, and she's like, oh, that'll be fun. But we waited until we had enough people, because I felt like it would have been a lot more fun. We were playing with 5. And, oh wow, like, I haven't played the original, and I had someone say I should get Dixit, I believe that's what it's called, instead of this one, and I watched Tabletop do a playthrough of Dixit, and that one just didn't appeal to me. Yeah, you have the cards that like are obscure abstract pictures that you play, and you're like, well, what did this person, like based on who this person is, which card would they choose, or whatever it was. And that didn't seem fun. This one was more thematic to me. Okay, one person has a screen and plays as the ghost, and the ghost that was murdered, and it's like, okay, well, I'm trying to help the psychics narrow down out of all these people who is one of the murderers. And I do that by playing those abstract cards. And oh man, as the ghost, it was so stressful because I had this hand of shit cards, and we were on, you go people, location, weapon, and I'm like, and they all have to make it or everyone loses. And it's a co-op game. And I'm just like, crap, because all these, I can't say anything, the ghost can't talk, and I hand these cards and they are like, well, okay, so there's an open door here and there's an open door there, that's probably what that means, but then they'll start second guessing themselves and you're just sitting there like, kill yourself again because they're wrong. You're like, crap, well, I was hoping you would look at the color of that, and that's so unique to us. Like this easily became one of my girlfriend's favorite games we've played, and we had such a blast trying to do it. And I played this yesterday too. This is one of the games I played that basically bumped everything up because we liked it so much. And I just think there's a lot of replayability here based on who people get and the cards that you're drawing, and you're trying to, okay, well, crap, this is what their location is, and I hope they understand this card. I just think it's so fun, and that is Mysterium. Okay, so now my number 4, and my number 4 is Elysium, and whenever we first started playing this, I wanted to play it over and over and over again. 1, because of the theme. I love Greek mythology. And 2, this reminds me of Seven Wonders. Now, kind of. Like the card drafting and choosing. It reminds me of Seven Wonders. And I think that I like this game better. And because in Seven Wonders you're basically just matching icons, this one you're getting abilities with your cards that you're trying to do combinations of based on the random gods that you choose to form the deck, and you're playing against everyone, and you're like, okay, well, I'm trying to combine these cards also because you have your domain that you can use everyone's ability, and you have your Elysium, which is basically going to score you your points, and you're like, okay, well, I have this one card that's helping me out so much right now, but I need to put it into my Elysium, which means you can't use the power to finish these legends and to give me my points. But right now it's like and there's just that strategy behind that, and just there are so many unique things you can do. Every time you're going to get different, well, maybe not different gods, but you can choose gods that you want their decks to be in, or choose gods to play with their decks, and you're just going to get so many random and cool combinations that you can play off of that I just think it's such a well done game. And I have to show this one. This game comes with the best inlay that I can think of. If you guys can see it, everything has a space, like a place for it. Like there's these right here for, the gold, the victory point, I don't know if you can see it, and then like the PP, prestige points. There's a slot for each of the gods, each houses. There's a place to put the columns, and a place for all the tokens. And then if you do it, it looks like a I don't know what it's called, but it's like a temple. I don't think it's a temple. I'm pretty sure it's a temple. And the game comes with a booklet that explains all the cards from each of the houses, and that's one of my favorite things. I love the inlay. And this one, I just thought it was so unique. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love Seven Wonders, but this one, in Seven Wonders, I feel that when you're card drafting, you are basically matching icons, and it's not as thematic because that game really could be about anything. But so you're just matching these icons to get your points. Here, you have all these abilities that's going to get you points, but also hurt other people. Because, like, even on the back, it's like, okay, well, for example, if you take Ares, Ares helps you get prestige points. Whoever has the most of those by the end of the game gets 16 points. And you're trying to get these quests, which will give you gold, which lets you transfer more. This game is just so wonderful, and I love it. And that's why it's on my number 4. Alright, my number 3. Number 3 of my all-time favorite games of 2015 is Fury of Dracula. 3rd edition. Never played the 2nd edition, so I can't really compare the two. But I did watch a run-through of the 2nd edition, and I love this game. I love the theme. I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. I did a run-through of this technically twice. I recorded one time, but accidentally messed up as Dracula. So we had to redo it. And this is a long game. Not that that ever bothers me. But, oh man, this game is just so cool. I love hidden movement games. Letters from Whitechapel is a great game, but this one I love more because as Dracula, during the daytime, yes, I'm screwed. I can't do anything. I have to sit there and watch the hunters basically either like run around like stupidly and have no clue where I'm at, or if I'm playing with my friend Luke, he'll sit there and be like, well, he went here and here and here and here, and I'm like, oh, how the hell do you know that? And it's so dumb. But then he'll start doubting himself. And then at nighttime, yes, that's whenever I can move. I can run away if they're getting real close to me and just hopefully have them lose my trail, or I can fight them. And that is the huge difference. It's like, oh, really? You think you trapped me? Well, your weakest person is actually close to me. I'm gonna fight them and weaken them and move up the tracking and get all that influence. All while the hunters are trying to find me and kill me, they're also having to go and stop the traps basically I left in the cities I visited. And man, this game is just so thematic. They're all running around Europe trying to figure out where I'm at. And if I go into the sea, they know I went into the sea, but not which sea, but that hurts me. But that's an easy way I can lose their trail. And yeah, no, like number 3 definitely. Like there is not a single time whenever I've played this game, like 3 times, that I have gotten a completely different game, and it's just so fun. And with the remakes, like I said, I didn't play the second one, but I watched it. I think that they did such a stellar job with this. Unlike their remake of Runebound, which I did the run-through. I did the run-through for this one as well. This one's also up. It's actually doing very well, so thank you, everyone. And just I think what it is, the deduction and you know, the theme, I just really like that. Like in Letters from Whitechapel, all Jack can do is run. And here, yes, I can run, but if it's nighttime, I can fight you. If it's daytime, I'm kind of screwed. But and the hunters have unique abilities that help them, and as the hunters, you really have to strategize, but you're wondering, okay, well, should we stay together? Should we split up? Should we pair up, or who should we pair up, and how should we move? Do we need to go here? There's just a lot of strategy behind this game on both ends, and I just think it's really, really well done. Excuse me. And that's my number 3, Fury of Dracula. Now, on to my number 2 top games that came out in 2015. And I'd be surprised if no one knew this wasn't going to be on my list if it hasn't been mentioned already. And that is, some of you actually may be surprised if you've been sticking with my series of Pandemic Legacy. First of all, if anyone has been, anyone who knows me or anyone who's been kind of watching my show, I love Pandemic. And the funny thing is, I was talking to my boss about Pandemic, kind of getting him intrigued in the world of board gaming. One, it's a hell of a gateway game. So simple to teach. I can teach it in probably less than 10 minutes if you aren't completely brain dead. And it's funny because when I first started board gaming, I would only get games that looked good. I definitely judged games by their cover. Like if I'm looking, oh, well, this game looks stupid, I'm not going to play it. Or the components, I only wanted games that had miniatures that detailed miniatures. And when I saw Pandemic, I'm like, what the hell are these stupid pawn-looking things? And I never played it. Well, then I caved in and I bought it. And oh man, I'm so glad I did. One, because it's opened my eyes, opened my mind to different games that may not look quite as good, but are actually a really good game. And so I love Pandemic. And Pandemic Legacy, my very first Legacy game, not that there are a whole lot, is such an adventure that I've been going on since I started the series, which we're not quite done yet. That one, it's been stressful, it's been exhausting, it's been angry, it's been exciting. Like whenever we're trying to strategize on how we can win this month, and then we end up pulling it off, and we're just like, yeah, we did it. Or whenever we're playing, and we're just like, that took 5 minutes, and we got our ass kicked. Okay, now definitely I have my issues with something that happens, but man, they did such a cool job with this. Now you may be thinking, well, how can this be in your top 10 if you haven't even beaten the game? Because I have like 1 month left, I have December left, and based on just the experiences that I've had up until then, you can't beat that. It's just, even if the last month sucked, this game is just so good. And they made it so exciting. They took it in a direction I wasn't even expecting. I was expecting them to basically do, the Superbug is back, and basically do the expansions of Pandemic but make it a Legacy game. And they didn't do that. They added, and if you haven't watched the series or have no clue about this game, I'm not going to ruin anything, but they took it in a direction that I was not expecting. And the Legacy game, we're all upgrading our people and changing the board, and we're looking at the board. Basically, if we look at it now into what it's come, it's like we made so many decisions that have screwed up this board that it's humorous, but we feel awful, and we don't want to do it, but we have to. And this game, one of the most thematic games, not even this one, just Pandemic in general, is one of the most thematic games I've ever played. You truly feel like you're fighting these diseases. You truly feel you're working for the CDC. That you're just like, I'm sorry, Shanghai, we can't do it. We're going to have to save America before we can save you, but we'll try. And co-op games, this is definitely one of the best co-op games. Now you can have one person control everyone, especially an experienced player could see what the best options are. But even then, I'm the most experienced Pandemic player out here, but even then I'll be like, well, this is what we should do. But then I'll have my friends go, well, how about we do it this way? Because in the long term, and I'm like, oh, okay, that definitely works. And you try and decide long term versus short term resolutions. And this game definitely makes you eat your decisions. If you made a bad decision, you're going to eat it. If you made a good decision, yay, but you're still probably going to eat it because this game is hard. This game, and it's just, God, it's so good. And you may be wondering why it's not my number one. Now, granted, almost any of these games could have been my number one if I talk. Elysium probably could have been my number one. The only one that couldn't was clearly 9 and 10, but they're still good games, still in my top 10. And if you're wondering why this game isn't my number one, is because I personally favor games with replayability. Now, once again, there is nothing wrong with games that don't have that. That doesn't disqualify them for being good games. But because that this is a Legacy game, and you rip up cards, and you cry when you rip up those cards, you play stickers, you write on the board, you do all this stuff, you can't really go back and do it again. You can buy the game again, you can buy that, but you can't ever play this one again. Now, if you buy it again, and then it'll be a different, disease, and things will happen differently, and that part doesn't change, but you'd have to buy the game again. I can't ever open this box and be, let's do this again. Now they're saying you can use the board instead of a regular Pandemic board. I will never do that because my board is fucked up. But still, that is why it is not my number one. Could have been had there been a little bit more replayability. But I love Pandemic Legacy. Now, that was my number two. Oh, that's the quarter. My number one, I don't know why I'm looking at this, it's my list, I know, and I have the game sitting right here. My number one is Yeah. My number one is, oh god, Blood Rage. Blood Rage is such a good game, and I pretty much, when I was making this list, knew it was gonna be my number one. And even after playing those three games, Elysium, XCOM, and Mysterium, I couldn't bear myself to not make this number one. Now, I'm talking about Blood Rage and not the expansions that come with it. I don't count those. This game, I loved it as soon as I played it. I mean, now granted, I like it better with 4, but I first played it with 2. And yeah, the board tries to scale as best as it can to accommodate for fewer players. But man, as a 4-player game, this is just one of those unique ones that everyone starts out the same. There are no people with unique powers or anything, and it's not like, oh crap, well, your power is clearly better than mine. No, everyone starts out the same, and they get this random hand, and I love card drafting. So you're like, well, what kind of strategy do I want to do this game? And it gives you that freedom. You can try and win with your people dying. Like, I don't try to win through battle. You can, but I don't want to do that. I want to try and win from dying during Ragnarok in glory. And oh man, it is just so cool. And one of the cool things about this is most games with victory points is that there can sometimes be a clear runaway leader. It's like, well, he has 60 points, there's no way we can catch up. But this one, I have been up to, in my run-through, I have done a run-through for this. In the run-through, I have been way ahead, and people start to catch up. And I just think that's so cool. One, I love the theme. Vikings are awesome. But this is such a simple game, too. Like, if I hadn't pulled this out, someone would be like, oh my god, like, I don't think I can handle this. And I'm like, oh, but it's so easy. Like, it's so easy, and it's so cool. And it reminds me of a game, Eric Lang did Chaos in the Old World, which I didn't really care for. But this one plays kind of like that. But the miniatures are just so cool, and I can't praise this enough. And the reason why it's my number one is because of its simplicity in such a deep game. Like, there's so much strategy behind the cards you get, and you can get these monsters that are your monsters. You can use them how you want. I think it's the best game that came out in 2015, at least in my opinion. And I believe the Dice Tower actually, Sam agreed with me that Blood Rage was what I think. Don't quote me on that one. But the miniatures are just so cool. I wish the colors weren't, pink and For the record, on the back that shows the miniatures as being gray. They're pink or salmon, but I mean that's whatever. The board looks really cool. It's really well done. It's just so cool. Like, I've won this game by not even fighting at all. I mean, unless I had to, but I'm like, I'm just not gonna fight. I'm gonna see what happens if I don't fight. And you can go a route of winning through, not even winning battles. You can just, you can fight, but like take people's cards and use them against them. And I just think that's really cool. And the expansions do add not a whole lot, but a little bit, enough to make the game like have a little bit of a kick to it. But it's not one of those expansions where it's like basically like, oh well, let's add the new board, let's add all this, and it's like what is this? What is all this? Basically changing the whole game. But the expansions, Mystics of Midgard and Gods of Asgard. I mean, they're not like great, but they add enough if you want a little bit of flair to the base game. There's a 5th player expansion, which I'll probably be getting soon. I just never ever have 5 people to play with, or 4 other people. This game is just so good, and I think this was in my top 10 games of all time. I believe Blood Rage was, I can't remember if I put Blood Rage in my top 10, but I know that this was my friend Luke's favorite game, and it's just so good. So, that was my top 10 games that came out in 2015. I will probably be playing the other ones that came out, but yeah, I just think these games are great. If you yeah, these games are great. Yeah, let me know what your top 10 games are that came out in 2015. If you'd like to see any more other top 10s, then just leave a comment in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.